You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
What's he talking about? The White House insisting President Trump never tips his hand.
We're never going to say in advance what the president's going to do.
It's unclear whether the president was just toying around, deflecting from the political storm engulfing his administration, or previewing some new action.
Donald Trump would make these remarks 7 years ago, and yet today, a lot of people feel like we are currently in the calm, this very eerie calmness before the storm. You can even see some of the comments on this video, which was uploaded 7 years ago. Somebody 3 weeks ago said the storm is here again. A person replying to this comment says, it's about to hit America hard these upcoming weeks. Another person says, gold 2020 forecast, Bo Pony, I don't know what that means. And someone said the MFer warned it and now we are here. So again, a lot of people believe that we are currently in the calm before the storm phase. But the very eerie 2024 Economist magazine cover may also allude to this calm before the storm. So with that being said, for this video, we are going to go back to the 2024 Economist magazine cover because this magazine cover continues to blow my mind. This magazine cover continues to foretell future events. And we know, for those that know that this is not about predictions or trying to predict the future. This is all about the powers that be letting us know what is going to happen. No different than any other forms of media when it comes to subliminal messaging. But I happen to notice a couple other things on this magazine cover that stood out to me. And remember, this magazine cover was created back in 2023 and published on November of 2023. This magazine cover really stood out to me when it basically told us that Trump would run against a female, that the woman here on the silhouette is Trump's complete opposite. And how do we know that? Well, we can see above Trump, we can see a dove, we can see peace. And this female over here, she brings in war, she brings in chaos, she brings in nukes. So this is the opposite of Trump. Many people believe that this woman happens to be Mexico's president, but I do believe that this is just a generic silhouette of a female to let us know that this is a woman. Claudia Sheinbaum was not elected to be Mexico's president when this magazine cover was created. Not only that, if they were to show us the silhouette of Kamala Harris on this cover, that would be way too much information at that time, because during this time when this magazine cover was published, Biden was still the Democratic nominee, and many people in his party were still hyping him up. So the woman on this magazine cover is just a placeholder. It's just a silhouette to let you know that this is a female that Trump will be running against. You have to look between the lines. You have to look at the symbols, like the nuke, which is the opposite of the doves, to let you know that this woman is his opposite. And not only that, Joe Biden is not on this cover. Now, there are people, again, that believe that the person to the bottom left is Joe Biden, but these are the foreign leaders of the world. And at the top are the Democratic and Republican nominees, but in the middle are the foreign leaders of the world. And the person at the bottom left is Netanyahu. But it's not just that. Look at the very bottom of the magazine cover. You can see, and this is my interpretation, this is my theory, but in the black background, you can see what I believe to be asteroids. And asteroids have been appearing a lot in the news lately. They are going to play a very big role in the future. But in the white background, we can see what looks like to be minerals. And we know that minerals, lithium, has been really playing heavily in the news as of 2024. Well, how do we know that this mineral inside this white box is lithium? Well, if you look at the bottom right, you can see a car. This is an electric vehicle because what's connected to this electric vehicle is an electric battery. And we do know that these electric batteries are made from lithium. Now, here's where things get very, very interesting because, like I said, you have to pay very close attention to the fine details of this magazine cover. Back on September of 2023, news came out that Albemarle was to get $90 million grant from the Pentagon for raising domestic lithium output. This grant is to help Albemarle harvest lithium in North Carolina by 2026. The exact location happens to be Kings Mountain. Well, why are they harvesting this lithium? Well, read this, and this is from the same article. Albemarle, the world's largest lithium producer, said on Tuesday it has received a grant of $90 million from the United States Department of Defense to expand production of the critical raw material for electric vehicle batteries. And well, what do we see on the magazine cover? We see lithium, and we see the electric vehicle, and we see the battery. Now, they might be using lithium for other things like this mass production of these robots and weapons, but they really want these gas-powered muscle cars off the road, and they want everybody to be driving electric vehicles because it's easier for them to control these electric vehicles. Why do you think NASA has a field of 1990s, 1980s cars before even Bluetooth? Because Bluetooth can be hacked as well, but NASA just has a field of old-time cars.
Okay, this is a bit creepy. Let me know what you guys think. So, why does NASA have all these old school cars? My thoughts are, they're cars without computers in them. All from the 1970s. They're preparing for an EMP blast. What's odd is they're not just old school NASA cars. Here's a news car. They have a whole fleet from NASA vehicles, semi-trucks, ambulances. Perhaps this is where that $50 million a day budget is going. Because we all know it's certainly not getting us into space.
So we're going to go ahead and go back to the magazine cover because there's something rather interesting on this cover that connects to what I said just now. Now, this magazine cover has a as above, so below effect going on. What's happening at the top is happening at the bottom. What's happening on the left is happening on the right, and vice versa. Now look at the bottom left of this magazine cover, and what do you see? Well, you see a hurricane. Below this hurricane, you can see windmills, and these windmills represent to me weather manipulation. And you can see below these windmills, you can see an electric battery. And below this electric battery, you can see the lithium. You can see the lithium ore. We're going to go ahead and connect some dots here because when Hurricane Helene had hit North Carolina, one of the hardest hit spots was Asheville, North Carolina. News let it slip out that Asheville, North Carolina had one of the largest deposit spots of lithium. Do you see just how easy it is to read this magazine cover, where they are telling us what they have in store for the future? This magazine cover, which was created back in 2023, on this magazine cover, they are telling us that there is a manufactured hurricane that is connected to lithium. 1 year exactly from when Albemarle is given this contract from the Department of Defense back in September of 2023, well, in September of 2024, Hurricane Helene hits Asheville, North Carolina. But let's take a look at the right side again, the bottom right, because we can see the temperature soaring and we can see the fires. Well, currently taking place around the United States, well, we're seeing all these droughts and we're seeing these wildfires. This is absolutely crazy. And I know some people out there want to say, well, this is just a conspiracy theory. And I don't even see this as a conspiracy theory, to be honest with you. This is just way too accurate. There is also something else that was eerily, quote unquote, predicted on this magazine cover as well. And I believe this magazine cover told us ahead of time who was going to be the president of the United States. Because if you look at Trump's silhouette, and Trump was not the Republican nominee just yet when this magazine cover came out. We all knew that Trump was going to be the nominee, but he wasn't officially elected the Republican nominee during this time. But if you look at Trump's silhouette, you can see a question mark. Now, as you can also see, there is a certain color coding going on this magazine cover as well, red and blue. Now, one would think out of everything on this cover being red and blue, the ballots inside the ballot box would be red and blue to symbolize Democrats and Republicans. But the ballots are white, they're blank, meaning this person has already been selected. And that person, well, just take a look at the little bubble below the ballot box. This bubble has a question mark inside. And who is the only person on this cover to have a question mark? Well, that person being Trump. So there are people out there that may be asking, why would the powers that be select Trump and not Kamala Harris? Well, the thing is, the powers that be, they are really banking on some type of violence breaking out, because you have to remember, Trump is not the president yet. He won't be president until, I believe, when is the inauguration? January 25th. So Biden and Kamala, they are still in power, and they are really banking on some type of violence breaking out. This is why they're really ramping up that rhetoric that Trump is like a certain 1930s German dictator. Now, and a lot of us actually feel like there's this certain calmness before this storm, that everything's a little too quiet. And a lot of people are really upset, probably more so now than in 2016, because a lot of people are connecting Trump to this Project 2025. And a lot of people believe that a lot of their family members, a lot of their friends are in really big trouble with Trump being president. And a lot of these people that are on social media that are seen crying, screaming that Trump is in power and something's going to happen to them or their family members or their friends now that Trump is in power, have been basically manipulated by the media into believing this. So I think that they are goading somebody to do something to perhaps cause a mass conflict and perhaps lead to a civil war, because this thing about this civil war has been really in our media lately. There was the Barack Obama scripted movie, Leave the World Behind, which ended on a civil war. Then there was the movie about a civil war. And then there was this simulation, like we saw with Event 201 and the C-19. There was the simulation of a civil war. So there has been a lot of predictive programming when it comes to civil war in 2024. We actually see this on the magazine cover, The Calm Before the Storm. Now, if you look at the top above the ballot box, you can see the merger of the sun and the moon, the solar eclipse that we saw on April 8th. But if you look at the bottom below the ballot box, below the election, you can see another merger taking place, and then it separates. You can see the red and the blue coming together to vote, and this is that calmness, that calm period. And then you can see directly after the election, the red and the blue start to come apart. One could say that, well, like always, we come together as a nation to vote, and then like always, we are divided. But they are showing this for a reason. We already know that the nation is divided. They didn't need to show us this, but they were showing us this division for a reason, because something big is really going to divide the country. Carefully above the division to the